Everyone, happy May 1st and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. I'm the founder of studentloanjustice.org. We are the nation's first, largest, and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. It is May 1st, 2023. Happy May Day, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, and I can see them on Facebook and or Twitter, throw them out there. Questions, comments, editorial opinions, or otherwise. A couple of quick announcements. We are on the road headed back to Wisconsin. We're going to take a little bit of a side trip through Ohio on the way home. And I'll have more to say about that later. But anyways, we should be back in Rhinelander pretty soon. So maybe I should also say at the top, if you can donate, guys, it would be very good at this moment. As I said, we bought the SLJ van, minivan, actually, it turns out, and I'll show you photos later. But we don't do deals with bad guys. The only funding that this little grassroots group has is in personal donations that people give. A lot of other groups out there get money from very nefarious or even unknown sources. Who knows what's going on there? We know what's going on here, and that is that we will cease to exist as a functioning warrior movement in this battle for student loan justice if we can't raise the relative pittance that we need to fight and win this battle. So we've been around for 18 years now. We've made it this far, dudes. If you appreciate all the work we've done, all that we're doing, all that we are poised to do, please just donate a little bit. So I can shut up about it, please. Like, we don't need almost anything to survive, fight, and win this battle, but we can't do it on absolutely nothing. So, okay, thank you very much. I think I'm going to leave it at that for the announcements. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to make a bold prediction. I have some of my best breakthroughs when I'm driving, and I was driving all day today. And it occurred to me that the Supreme Court is going to affirm Joe Biden's student loan cancellation. Despite everything you hear with how the Supreme Court is stacked with conservatives now, and conservatives are 100% against student loan cancellation. And of course, the Supreme Court is going to deny this cancellation, right? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going out on a serious limb here. We almost never make predictions that are even like a 20% chance that they won't happen or whatever. We're very conservative historically in all the predictions that we've made. And we've been right on almost all of them. We've never made any false claims. So let me just disclaim right now that I give this one a 50. Yeah, I don't know what the odds are. It's hard to say. But if you really think hardly about this issue, or you think deeply about this issue, I should say, not hardly. It turns out that if the swamp gets what the swamp wants, and when I say swamp, I mean the entire student loan apparatus, the entire shark's nest. And if you take two steps back and look at the macro impacts, and if you game out all the different scenarios for what would probably result from the student loan cancellation if Supreme Court denies it versus if the Supreme Court affirms it, turns out to be really quite clear that the Supreme Court will indeed affirm this this cancellation effort from President Biden. And here's why. Let's game this out just a little bit. So number one, we've got a problem with student loans. Clearly, it's risen to the top of the news. It was near the top of the news in the last presidential election. It was near the top of the news during the midterms. Certainly, it's enjoyed more status in the public eye, and it's become far more contentious since just over the past 3 years. there's a lot riding on this politically now. It's become I know it's become a partisan issue, like the D's versus the R's, and the D's have the white hats and the R's have the black hats. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all nonsense. Everybody in Washington, D.C. wants to perpetuate this lending program. That includes all the forces on the left. So like the colleges and, everybody who depends upon the federal student loan program, whether they are colleges, or you name it, on the left. We've been looking at, and by the way, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. Whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome here. We, for all intents and purposes, hate both parties. Oh, by the way, one more announcement, a quick shout out and a congratulations to Lisa, our own Lisa Ansell in Los Angeles. She was able to get her, I believe her third letter to the editor published in the Los Angeles Times just today. So we're asking all of our members to get your own letter to the editor published in your local newspaper, and call for either the return of bankruptcy protections or student loan cancellation, or both. But that first thing, bankruptcy, as unsexy as it may sound and as unpleasant as it may be, is by far and away the most important thing. So please call for the first thing. So good on Lisa. I will leave it to you all to read the paper. I think her piece, her letter today was a little general. So bankruptcy wasn't even mentioned, but just the fact that student loan debt is even a problem, like even a massive problem today, like that is worth mentioning, and Lisa did. So we salute Lisa. But get your own letter published. Very important, guys. We've gotten probably 20 of them published over the past few months. We need more. And the most important thing I'm going to say to you guys tonight, nothing good will happen for us people, the borrowers, student loan borrowers, unless and until you help us fight. We're the largest group in the country right now, guys, 1.4 million members. But if 1.39999 million of those members aren't doing anything every day, then we're screwed, and that size is meaningless. So if you have any doubts, or if you're ever wondering what you might do, just go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, or go to this link here, bit.ly link, bit.ly/SLJ Daily Action. Thanks. And good job, Lisa. So why is the Supreme Court going to affirm Joe Biden's student loan cancellation? Okay. The student loan swamp people want this loan program to continue. They love it. We also have two different parties. Obviously, the politics are a big part of this. But here's the thing. If the Supreme Court denies Joe Biden's, and by the way, as I said, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. If the court denies Joe Biden's student loan cancellation, there are only really two places to go with that. And both of them are very, very bad for the lending system, for the Department of Education, for everybody who has staked their career on the student loan program. So if the Supreme Court denies the cancellation, there's probably likely two things that are likely to happen. Number one, people will get pissed. And I mean pissed, because Joe Biden made that announcement. And hopefully you all know this lending system has catastrophically failed. 85% of all borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans, losing sleep over their loans, even before the pandemic. So a shitload of borrowers will be extremely pissed. Very few people will resume paying when they turn the loans back on. And the only viable sort of legal option at that point is returning bankruptcy to the loans. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the number one thing that the bad people, our opposition, the student loan swamp, the number one thing they absolutely do not want is the return of bankruptcy protections to the loans. This is the silent elephant in the room that nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to admit, but everyone knows it's true. Bankruptcy is the kryptonite of this lending program. So if the Supreme Court shuts down all avenues to presidential or education secretarial cancellation of these loans, that's the cliff, guys, and that's the cliff that will go off. So that doesn't have a great ending, not for the swamp, anyhow. And civil unrest and stuff. I know that like Elon Musk and others, there's sort of an Occam's razor or analog of the principle of whatever outcome is the most entertaining is the likely outcome. And I admit, if the Supreme Court shuts down student loan cancellation by executive order, that will be the most entertaining outcome, because shit's going to go bad. There's going to be civil unrest. People will probably die. There will probably be suicides and who knows what else. It will be pretty dystopian. But here on this issue, I have to disagree. Now, and because of what I just said. Now, however, if the Supreme Court affirms Joe Biden's student loan cancellation, that's really many problems are solved for the student loan swamp in that case. Number one, $10,000 or $20,000 is not that much money, guys. The average student loan borrower is carrying nearly $40,000 in balance. They can make up that 10 grand in no time. And politically, it will take all of the steam out of this problem, at least in the eyes of the media. Certainly, that lame cancellation won't even come close to helping the people who've been hurt worse by these loans. But if the Department of Education numbers are to be believed, and I think they're pretty close, something like 20 million people would see their debts vanish in the case of this cancellation. That's 20 million voters. And, in the eyes of the media, when you cancel the loans of nearly half of the borrowers, well, this is really no longer an issue. And that's the swamp wants that. The swamp operates most effectively and most happily in darkness. They like to creep around the edges. They don't like the press reporting on the student loan issue. They don't like it. It doesn't allow them to do what they do. So from the swamp's perspective, which is primarily money-based, and they want to keep this scam going, these people are pretty risk averse. And the riskiness of the Supreme Court not affirming the cancellation is very high. The risk of, affirm Joe Biden's student loan cancellation. There's not a lot of risk in that, guys. You take a little one-time hit, you clear the decks of a huge number of people, even though they're not the most vocal and the most hurt. They want this problem gone. They want this problem thrown back down a couple notches on the totem pole so that nobody pays attention to it anymore. And they want to be able to collect their money. And remember also, if they affirm Joe Biden's student loan cancellation, they will almost certainly, and this is what it's going to look like. This is another very key prediction that is part and parcel of why I'm making this prediction. The Supreme Court almost certainly will, in whether it's the voting for the cancellation opinion or the voting against it, I can't remember what that's called, but they, in their opinion, they will write something to the extent that, we are affirming this cancellation only as an emergency measure. And they'll say something to the effect that, that's it, guys. We did what we're going to do. Don't come to us again with another cancellation if it isn't a national emergency. That is the neat way to box this issue in. And I guarantee you that is absolutely what Joe Biden wants. And that is absolutely what the student loan swamp wants. They do not want to even hear the word cancellation by executive order again. So, I rarely make predictions, guys. I rarely make predictions that are this bold, put it that way. If I'm not 90% sure about something, I won't make the prediction. On this one, I admit I'm about 75 or 70%, but yeah, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. So if indeed that happens, you heard it here first. Thank you. I'm looking for your comments now. I think I'm going to wrap it up pretty early tonight, though, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, we're on the road, and we've got quite a few miles to travel here. Hey, Joanna Kearns is with us tonight in Florida. How are you, Joanna? Joanna says, greetings. I said yesterday in the live stream, I was told that I am getting a letter published Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Plus, I recontacted the previous letters I contacted, and the staff finally replied. Oh, good, Joanna. That's great. Let us send me the link as soon as it publishes, and we will do our utmost to get that out all over the country, but maybe even more importantly, all over the state of Florida. State of Florida is very important on the student loan issue, guys. The people of Florida owe $120 billion in student loan debt. The state budget of Florida is a mere $80 billion. So that ratio, that percentage, makes Florida almost the worst state in the country by that measure. So the size of the debt versus the state budget. So good on you, Joanne. When it happens, we can't pat you on the back yet. It's got to happen first. And when it does, then we will shout about it from the rooftops. So shout about it from the rooftops. So, okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that. If I'm missing some of your comments, let me just apologize. We will, shoot. I know I always flake on our Twitter crowd, but we rarely get comments on our Twitter thing anyways. So, hopefully it'll be okay. Okay, guys, so that's it. I'm going to hit the sack. We're going to hit the road tomorrow. Please donate if you can. This next week, I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I suspect we're going to have to raise something like $300 or $400. I got to think about it. But just please make the fundraising easier on us, would you please? We wouldn't even be talking about a cancellation by executive order, but for this group and our petition, which grew to 1.2 million signatures, and the most important thing by far and away, we will not and we would not have seen meaningful bankruptcy legislation in years past, or even in this congressional session, we will not see meaningful bankruptcy legislation, which lies at the heart of the whole fucking thing. Pardon my French. Most important thing I'll say tonight. It's not going to happen without the efforts of the people on this group. We are way more important than we may appear from this dingy, cheapest hotel room in the state of Kentucky, as far as I can tell. This group is way more important than you think, ladies and gentlemen, and that is true. And it would be a tragedy if we had to pack it up and kill this movement. I don't want that. I hope you don't want it either. If you're new to the group, Google us. You'll see some very, very, very interesting and extremely important and significant things that we've done over many years. And I don't want to start bragging here, but you all know. So, okay, guys, that's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow night. Keep fighting. Do our daily actions. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless everyone.